Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Liz, and today I'm going to share with you 10 fall trash to treasure DIYs. I grabbed this fall tiered stand from a thrift store. I just loved the look of it, and I knew that I could recreate it so it would make a really nice high-end look for fall. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is mixing some paints so that I get the desired look that I'm going for. So I'm using a Pool color by Waverly, and then I'm also going to add in a little bit of silver lining. The Pool color is just a little too blue for me, and I wanted something that had a more muted tone. So I'm going to start just by painting it on. The great thing about chalk paint is you really don't have to prep your piece. With sanding, all you have to do is just start painting. So I'm going to do 2 coats of paint, and then I'm going to come back in and wet distress. So to wet distress, you want to get a wet rag. You're simply going to wipe the paint off in the areas you want it to be distressed. And then that's all you have to do, let it dry. And then I decorated mine with some pumpkins from the Target dollar spot. They have usually the best pumpkins, so that's just kind of my place for pumpkins. A really common item to find at the thrift store are different baskets or crates. I found this white one that was only $1.50, and I knew I could make it look really cool for fall. So I'm gonna be using like an indigo matte paint. Make sure you use matte because it looks a lot more high-end than a satin finish. Once the spray paint had a chance to dry, I'm gonna come in with Waverly white chalk paint and just add a little bit of depth and distressing along the edge. My favorite part about decorating for fall are filling baskets. So I'm gonna use some books at the bottom for filler, and then I'm gonna use a piece of fabric. I like to grab burlap. I get these from Joann's and then just fray the edges. It's actually kind of like a light green color. Next, I'm gonna add in pumpkins that I had on hand. Some of them are from Dollar Tree. Some are ones that I have painted over the years. Just add whatever you have. And everything's going to be in a neutral color scheme. I got these cute little antlers from Walmart, and I just think they look so great in an arrangement. These also would be great on your mantle. And then I think it's important to add just a little bit of greenery. I think it ties everything together. And then these little pumpkins from Dollar Tree help to fill in areas where you kind of have gaps. And here's a final look at the fall basket put together. One of my favorite things to pick up at the thrift store are candle holders. You can get such great deals. I found these really large brass candle holders for only $8, and I thought that was a great deal. I mean, you can't beat that to buy something comparable to that, in a regular store. So I took them outside, and I'm gonna spray paint them with 2 coats of this like greenish blue matte spray paint. Whenever you're spraying, just do 2 to 3 thin coats, making sure that you get the underside so it's nice and sprayed. Now, after you're done spraying them, in my opinion, they just look too perfect and they have too many nice lines to not point those out. So I'm gonna be using some paint, and I'm lightly going to be brushing it on just to bring out the details in the candle holders. Now, if you can find a grouping of 3, that's the best. Things in groups of 3 look great together. And I'm just going to be adding some Target dollar spot pumpkins to the top. And if you would have bought this in a retail store, it would have cost you a ton. You never know what you're going to come across at the thrift store. And I actually found this shelf that was still in the packaging. So I thought, you know what, I can do something with this and make it very fallish. So I took it out of the packaging, and I'm going to do 2 coats of Waverly white chalk paint. Now I love things that have a farmhouse flair to it. So what I'm gonna be doing is adding paint to give it that distressed finish. So I'm gonna be adding a brown acrylic paint, and I'm simply gonna take my paintbrush, wipe it on, and then pull it off with a rag. The rag step is really important so that you don't see brush strokes. Now to give it a little bit of dimension, I'm going to use some additional colors like this light mocha color and black, and those are just going to provide more dimension and add in different colors and shadows. To decorate the shelf, I used some fabric pumpkins. I will link down in the description box to my fabric pumpkin tutorial, and then a print that I got from Target. And I think this looks so great in a display and really elevates the decor. I came across this tray at Dollar Tree and thought, you know what, I like it on its side. It makes a nice frame, so let's make a sign. I also grabbed some laminate paper from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to figure out how big I want it. The easy way that I like to do that is just put my paper into the tray and kind of crease the paper, and then I'll cut it off and then put the paper back in the tray, make some more creases, and cut the paper down. That's the easiest way I have found to put a piece inside of a frame or a tray like this. Then I'll peel off the backing and press it down in place. Next, I'm going to use a harvest sign that is from Dollar Tree. They come in a pack of 3. And I'm just going to use a blue paint and paint on top of the galvanized tin. From there, I'll just take this burlap leaf from Dollar Tree and I'm going to hot glue it in place. Make sure you don't use too much hot glue because you don't want it to be showing through the front. And then I'll also hot glue that harvest sign down in the bottom corner. And so simple, but I think makes a nice arrangement on your wall. I came across a container of vintage jars from 1942, and they were 99 cents each. And I thought that was a great deal. And what really drew me to these was that they had a lot of raised areas and writing on them. And I knew with a paint treatment that would pull out the writing and just make it look so cool. So since I'm making a grouping, I picked a variety of colors that would look well together. I'm starting off by using Waverly Celery color, and I'm just going to use my sponge and put on 2 coats. I'm also going to be using Waverly White to paint them as well. Now, the technique I'm going to be using to make these bottles pop is using wet distressing. So once they've dried, get a rag and wipe away paint. Be careful with this because on glass, you can wipe away quite a bit of paint. So just take your time and go a little bit at a time and pull off what you want. I concentrated on the raised areas and the lettering. And I think these bottles look so cute in a grouping. Last year, I got on this kick to where I really wanted my pumpkins to be in blues, greens, and neutral colors. So I decided to organize some of my older pumpkins and I took them outside and spray painted them. Some of them went blues, some of them went like a navy, some of them went white, and I was decorating them because I really wanted to update my space, and I'm going to show you how I put them all together in my Hutch. You guys, I grabbed this for $5 at an antique store, so I wanted to incorporate this because it just looked very fall and rustic to me. So I'm going to fill it up with pumpkins, but I think instead of keeping it upright, I'm going to lay it on its side just to be a little bit different. Do you guys remember these? I used these in the spring. They were just paperback books I got from the thrift store, and I tore off the covers. So those are super simple to use. This Hello Fall sign I just picked up at Hobby Lobby for a couple of dollars. To give it a little bit something unexpected, I picked up some railroad ties from a antique store for just, I think they were 3 for $1. So I'm gonna add those in. Even when you're decorating on a hutch that has 3 different shelves, you really want to think about your different levels. One thing I like to use are cake stands. This is the $5 one you can get in the Target dollar spot, and it's great. It's smaller, so it's good for adding a little bit of height. I love little containers like this. I picked it up at a thrift store. I'm gonna add in some Dollar Tree florals, and I just kind of bent them down, and I can just stick them right in here, and they're really cute on the shelf. This is probably my favorite pumpkin. This is from Target Dollar Spot from last year. I'm really hoping they have more of these this year, and these burlap pumpkins from Dollar Tree are the best. One of my recent thrift store finds were these old books that open up, and they're the things that you could put like remotes in. But for me, I love things like this because it gives me more levels. So I'm gonna use these on the top shelf and play around with them and see how they will work best. This fall container is from Michael's, and then this I've had for a long time. Next, I'm going to go to the opposite side of the room, step back, take a look at it, and see if I like the placement of everything. Now, I'm going to be adding in some more pumpkins, but I think it's important to get like your main structural pieces in first, and then you can see where you need to add either greenery or pumpkins to fill it in. To fill in this little area, I'm going to be using this Dusty Miller, and it's $3 at Walmart. I'm also going to be using these little boxwoods that I pick up at Hobby Lobby. And then the pumpkins, I'm going to be using a combination of Dollar Tree and Hobby Lobby white pumpkins. So to fill it in a little bit more, I'm going to take the leaves and actually put them on the top of the pumpkins. That's just gonna look like it has another level to it. So your best bet for that is to just use individual leaves and build it up as you go. Okay, so I don't want it to look too perfect, so I'm going to try maybe adding some additional pumpkins up top and maybe another one down here. To finish off the hutch, I added a few more pumpkins, and now I'm just gonna add in some burlap leaves from Dollar Tree, and then I'll put in a little bit more greenery. Decorating your mantle with thrift store items is actually not hard to do. One of my tricks that I like to use is to get multiples of a specific item to create a big impact. I found hardback books that were in greens and blues and neutral colors, all the colors of my pumpkins and my decor. And I got quite a few of them, and that is going to create the base. I love using books. They provide just a great texture, and they look great, honestly. Another item that I have several of are brass candle holders, and if you don't, you can find them really inexpensively at the thrift store. So I'm going to disperse those around my mantle. Next, I'm going to fill in with my neutral pumpkins, and I'm just going to step back and look at them and make sure that I have a good balance on both sides of my mantle. Like in the other decor that I was doing, you want to finish things off with some greenery. I like using these leaves from Hobby Lobby. Really, you don't need a lot of greenery. Just put a little bit in there, and I guarantee it's going to elevate your decor. I got lucky last year and I found this really big tiered tray at a garage sale for $5. I spray painted it white and I'm going to show you how to decorate it. Now I do have some decorating challenges with this because it's not a flat tray, it's actually a bowl. So I have to do some things to kind of elevate the decor. One thing I like to use are clear plastic containers to help elevate the decor. You can always come back in and disguise them with leaves or other decor. So I'm going to use that to prop up this Hello Fall sign that I have. I also love adding in greenery. It really makes a tiered tray pop. Now, before you start with your tray, make sure you decide on your color schemes. You don't want to add in too many colors or it's just going to be too much for the eye. So on the bottom, I'm going to add in some blues and neutral pumpkins that I had just to fill up that space. Most of the pumpkins I have, I've either spray painted them or they came from Dollar Tree. I do have a few from Target Dollar Spot as well. And then I have some little white ones that I really like from Hobby Lobby. But for the most part, you can find them very inexpensively. I'm going to add this little greenery pumpkin that I found at the Target Dollar Spot. I believe that it was only $1. This little green cup was from Dollar Tree. Signs are always great if you can incorporate them in. Target Dollar Spot has some really great signs. This little welcome sign was only $1. A little fun touch, I'm going to be using these antlers from Walmart. I think they just are fun and unexpected. One thing to remember on a tiered tray is you want to step back and look at it and try to keep things as balanced as possible. See what you need to alter as you're putting it together. If you're needing height in the back, a great option is to add in a big faux plant. I like using these IKEA plants. I think they just really help to fill in the space. Another option for the fall would be to use maybe a larger pumpkin. That would work as well. But really the fun of it is just kind of moving things around and trying to make sure your colors are balanced, your textures are balanced, and there's not too much going on one shelf. Once all the major pieces are put together, make sure you add in some greenery or cotton stems just to finish off the entire piece and make it look cohesive. I hope you guys are super inspired to go to the thrift store and look for some things to decorate for fall. You don't have to spend a lot of money to have amazing decorations. If you're new to my channel, make sure that you subscribe. I post 2 DIYs each week, and if you missed our last video, I'll link it here for you, and I'll talk to you guys in our next one. Bye.